We didn't create homelessness. We can't cure it, but we sure can do something in investing in our community to help provide some of those services as they relate to addiction as well as mental illness. We, like many employers, care a lot about our employees, but we really didn't know how to address it. It was always one of those unspoken. And we have a very open culture, and I began hearing stories of employees' children that had overdosed or that were in rehab and they'd mortgaged their home. We had somebody, unbeknownst to all of us, that was living out of their car because they had given all their money to a child. And I really felt it was more of a corporate responsibility we had to provide those services or some sort of help to our employees. Most companies have an EAP, an employee assistance program. And that's how they deal with, hey, if somebody has an addiction or showing those behaviors, we encourage them to call the EAP. To me, that wasn't enough. So we partnered with a organization called Face It Together, and they provide addiction and counseling services. At GE Johnson, we provided all of our employees with that as a benefit, and it also covers all of their families. If GE Johnson can provide a resource and counseling and coaching, I believe that is going to offer some sort of peace of mind. At least they're doing something, and therefore equating back into a safer job site. Everybody in their family has a story of somebody, a relative, a child that was personally affected and the struggles they went through, and they didn't know where to go to get help. Our family has had exposure to it and how we addressed it. If this service would have provided, that would have been the first call we would have made. Most people do not know what they're dealing with, what the symptoms are, where to go get for help. They feel very ashamed. They start to close their circle of friends, people who they tell about it, and end up doing a lot of research on the internet. The internet's not a bad thing, but it's really not prescriptive to that patient's diagnosis or causes. So what Face It Together does is provide a real life voice on that other end to begin them to walk through the support functions that are out there, as well as what you might be able to do to get a proper diagnosis and some of the other resources that are available out there. And that is available to either the person with the addiction or their family members. The other piece that they have a strong relationship with is the mental health industry. That is another industry in Colorado Springs primarily is tremendously underserved. We are still building up that bench of mental health providers as well as diagnoses, which I think has led to a lot of the homelessness. And you often hear, well, they're all addicts or they're mentally ill. That could be the case, but that doesn't mean they're not still part of this community. GE Johnson doesn't have minimum wage jobs. However, we have a tremendous amount of employees because of the cycle of our employment that live at poverty level or below poverty level. I know the importance of missing one paycheck can mean being evicted or ending up at some of the emergency shelters. So this is not an issue that is just to high-end people or low-end. I think it applies to our total population. We all should ask ourselves, what our role is in helping the community get more healthy. We believe organizations such as Homeward, Pikes Peak fill that role and need to be supported. It doesn't mean that GE Johnson is promoting homelessness or mental health. We're promoting having that piece of fabric that is needed to make a community whole. Therefore, that's why we will continue to support organizations such as that to provide those very much needed and valued services. The more I learned about homelessness, the less I knew I understood it. Because this is not just one check and you're done and it's cured. The solution is longer, involves more people. There's different situations that involve addiction, mental health, and you've got to provide those services to get that self-esteem back so that people can get back and run their lives by themselves. I personally believe that's every company's responsibility that employs people in Colorado Springs, takes from our community. It's time to reinvest. We've got to reinvest in helping build a stronger network to provide those services to the people that utilize them. The solution is there. It should be easier to find.